Hello, first I would like to go over the technique for performing a wet mount. These are the items that you need in order to perform this procedure. First, you need a Bunsen burner, of course a striker, a loop, a dropper bottle for water, DI water in this case, 2 microscope slides, both labeled. For this exercise, you're doing a wet mount of M. luteus as well as E. coli. You will also be needing a culture. In this case, I have M. luteus. You should be using the cultures you created from the last exercise of both M. luteus and E. coli. And lastly, you will need 2 cover slips. So the first step is to take your water and place 1 drop on each of the slides. Once you have the drop of water, you're going to aseptically remove the organism from your culture tube, being sure to first test the loop on the top of the slant to make sure that it's cool, and then proceeding to near the bottom of the slant and pulling the organism. So once you do that, flame your tube, following the aseptic procedure, and set it aside. And now you're ready to emulsify your M. luteus on your loop in your water droplet. So once you've done that, then flame your loop and set it aside. So the very last step of the wet mount is to take your cover slip and place it on your sample. And the way to do this is you do it at a 45-degree angle. You place it on the slide, 45-degree angle, and then you just drop it. And what it does is it forces all the air out from underneath the cover slip, allowing you to view the organism without all those air bubbles and whatnot. So that's how you perform a wet mount. You're going to do the same technique to look at the E. coli as well. Once you do this, you have to kind of act quickly because the water that you placed is so thin now that the cover slip is pressed down upon it that it'll dry out rather quick, especially when you place it on your microscope and you start focusing it, because the intensity of the light is going to heat up the slide and dry it out even faster. So you want to act quick. You want to look to see what your preliminary observation is about the motility of your organism, and then we'll confirm that later with the motility meeting. You should perform this technique over a stain bin so as to contain any spillage or anything, because we are working with live microorganisms in this particular procedure. We're taking it straight from the tube and we're putting it in water. So you need to handle these slides with care, and after you're finished using them, you should place them in the center of your bench in the disinfectant bin so that we can dispose of these properly. So we will be disposing of these slides after we've completed the wet mount technique and have made our observations. An important point to make in regard to looking at bacteria straight from a slant is that microorganisms appear transparent when looked at under the scope when unstained. By doing this procedure, you will actually appreciate the next series of labs where we actually go into the staining of bacteria, which will allow us to see them much clearer and much easier than what you will experience today. This procedure will also require you to manipulate the various ways in which you can adjust the light on your microscope. For optimum viewing of these microorganisms, you're going to need to adjust the contrast by lowering your condenser and possibly adjusting your diaphragm and whatnot. in order to get the best image. Remember, these are bacteria that you're looking at. You're going to have to go to the 100x oil immersion objective in order to view them. So that's the wet mount procedure.